Okay, so. Hello, I'm Olivier.
Hello, I'm Quentin.
Hello, I'm Cindy.
And I'm Jeff.
Hello. How often do you and your child eat brightly colored foods like cake frosting, yogurt, or candy? Have you ever wondered why the cereal or the crackers you eat have such a long shelf life? Food dyes and preservatives are a staple in our diet today, and it may be harmful for you and your child. My son has been on the Feingold diet for over a year, and we are members of the Feingold Association of the United States. The Feingold diet eliminates synthetic colors, synthetic flavors, and the preservatives BHA, BHT, and TBHQ. They have been shown to cause behavioral issues in people that are sensitive. The Feingold diet can be a valuable tool for any parent struggling with the behavioral issues in their child. I'm going to talk about a short history of these named colors and preservatives, behaviors that may be caused by a reaction to these preservatives and chemicals, and outline the basics of the diet and give you examples of products that can be used on this diet. I'm going to start by describing the short history of these colors, flavors, and preservatives. These chemicals can be commonly cause reactions. Things like synthetic food dyes, synthetic flavors, and antioxidant preservatives. They can be almost anything, including food, medicine, and cosmetics, according to Jane Hersey, and Why My Child Cannot Behave. Food colorings are labeled with F, D, and C numbers, or E numbers in Europe. They are petroleum-based, and some examples in the American system are red 40, yellow 5, and blue number 1. More than 80 have been created, but only 7 are still allowed in the food or in our food supply due to the FDA's concerns with health problems stemming from them. Some dyes, like red 40, not only can be found in medicine, but can be used as pesticides for farmers. The manufacturing process for these chemicals can include steps with hazardous chemicals like formaldehyde, and the end product can contain up to 15% impurities. Artificial flavors are also common. The Feingold diet targets vanillin is one of the most common and the most harmful. Vanillin is used widely as a substitute for vanilla. It's a byproduct of pulp paper manufacturing, and it's chemically similar and chemically identical to regular vanilla, but in the synthesis of the chemical, we think that the byproducts are what are causing the reaction. The antioxidant preservatives BHA, BHT, and TBHQ are the third focus of the Feingold diet. These preservatives are also derived from petroleum, like the synthetic colors. The study Chemical Intolerance to BHA and BHT and Vascular Response as an Indicator and Monitor of Drug Intolerance in the Annals of Allergy found that mice that are fed this preservative sleep less and fight more than mice in the control group. There are other scientific groups that have warnings about these preservatives, like the Center for Science and the Public Interest, because it's a known carcinogen. Now that we've identified these additives that cause problems, I'm going to talk about reactions that may be seen from these additives. Even a small amount of these additives can cause severe behavioral issues in some people. Some of the reactions include hyperactivity, compulsive aggression, poor sleep habits, and short attention span, according to Jane Hersey and Why My Child Cannot Behave. 2 stories can illustrate the behavior. I'd like to start with my son Jimmy's experience. He's always been exceptionally active and never wanted to sleep. At 3 years old, we were trying to get him to sleep past 6 in the morning, and he couldn't even sit still long enough to watch more than 15 minutes of TV or color a picture. My husband went on a trip for 6 weeks, and that's when his behavior got out of control. I couldn't even take him outside with worries of a meltdown so severe that he may run into traffic or do something else that would harm himself. An acquaintance of mine recommended the Feingold diet, and she had remarkable results, so I looked it up, and within the next day I was throwing products out of my pantry. As it turned out, I'd been giving Jimmy his favorite foods, Kraft macaroni and cheese, Quaker granola bars, and Goldfish, very frequently since his dad was away. These turned out to be the exact foods that were causing reactions because they contain yellow 5, red 40, and THT, BHT, TBHQ. Within 2 weeks of eliminating all these foods from Jimmy's diet, he was acting like a normal 3-year-old. He even sat down and drew his first picture. The second story is from the director of the Feingold Association, Jane Hersey, and this story is on the website under Jane's story. Her husband suffered from debilitating migraines, so bad that he would go into his room for hours, at least once a week, without any sounds or anything else able to bother him. She was given a book by Dr. Feingold by a friend, and they both decided they were desperate, they're going to give this a try. After a couple weeks, his migraines subsided, and incidentally, her daughter's behavior, which had also been a problem, started to get better as well, which can also often happen that family members of Feingolders' symptoms improve as well. The turning point for them when they realized how serious the diet was when he was eating cottage cheese that had a maraschino cherry in it. The maraschino cherry has a red dye in it. He took the cherry out but left a few drops of the dye, ate the cottage cheese, and within hours he was in his room in the dark with a migraine. It showed them how sensitive you can be and how careful you have to be if you are sensitive to these chemicals. And now that we've seen some of the behaviors that may be helped by the Feingold diet, let's look how we can implement the change. The corner of the Feingold diet is to eliminate synthetic colors, synthetic flavors, and the preservatives BHA, BHT, and TBHQ. I will outline some of these products. The Feingold Association of the United States helps out by publishing a book of everything of products that you can use on the diet. Ingredient list changes all the time, and you can't always rely on the ingredient list because they don't list everything due to proprietary secrets or lack of regulations requiring that they list it. Here in France, I found myself cooking from scratch quite a lot because I don't speak French and I don't completely understand how they label other foods. There are many examples of products that can be used. The food list and shopping guide by the Feingold Association is a big help. I have a handout here. I'm going to take one and pass it along. It shows some common American products that are both acceptable on the diet and then some that are not acceptable on the diet. Artificial colors are in almost every food targeted, or quite a few foods at the grocery store, especially those targeted towards children. Yogurts are a big one, and if you look at the example, both those yogurts are the same brand. The one that's not acceptable has colors, the one that's acceptable does not have colors. There's also cereals and macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese is Kraft macaroni and cheese is in almost every pantry in the United States. If you switch to Annie's, there's no colors and no reaction for sensitive children. Artificial flavors can be found in almost any kind of baking product, and it's also artificial flavors are in almost any product, and those aren't listed exactly what they contain. Usually it just says artificial flavors. Vanillin, the most harmful, is found in Toll House Nestle chips, which is very popular. If you switch to Ghirardelli, it doesn't have vanillin. The preservatives that we're looking at are found in cereals, granola bars, and crackers. And sometimes these aren't listed on packages or on labels because they're sprayed on the packaging and allowed to seep into the food over time. Things like Rice Chex has it, other cereals do not. Now, a thing to note on all of these, you notice a lot of them are organic that are acceptable in the Feingold diet. It's not a rule with the diet, but generally, if they've taken so much care to avoid chemicals in the growing of the ingredients, they don't add chemicals when they process the food and they package it. So I've given you a snapshot of the Feingold diet. Let me review what we've talked about. The Feingold diet can be a valuable tool for any parent that's struggling with behavioral issues in their child. I've given you a short history of artificial colors, flavors, and the named preservatives. And I've shown you a few behaviors that may be helped by following the Feingold diet, and these behaviors may be caused by a reaction to the chemicals. And I've outlined the basics of the diet and given you some examples of some products that are allowed to be used on the diet. The next time you go to the store, take a good look at what you're putting in your cart. Do you really want a cart full of potentially hazardous chemicals? Your decision could have a large impact on both you and your family. And there's some